Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome to another Wellness Wednesday tip with Dr. J, and I am your host, Doc LQJ, Dr. Jefferson Brown for some of you. So many different things, right? But wellness with me. Here it is. This month is October 2024, and it feels so odd saying it because, like, I feel like we were just in the month of National Mental Health Awareness Month in May, essentially. And now we are like streamlining right into October as if nothing ever happened. We just blinked an eye and here we are. So welcome to the month of October 2024. I am glad to be here, and I think that we are all very fortunate, very blessed to be here. So I want to start it off by saying that because so many people that we've lost in this past month or really this past quarter. So many stars, family members, neighbors, everybody is impacted by, I think, either mass violence right now, domestic violence right now, just chaos. War is going on right now. It's chaotic everywhere. But in the interest of October being the month of National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I want to bring forward a construct that not all violent situations that are domestically associated have some clear indicators or clear warning signs. There are no particular ways that we can spot it, right? So I want to talk about ways that maybe you can do your part to either recognize and get somebody the help that they need when you recognize they are experiencing domestic violence in their relationships, whether it's an intimate partner or filial relationship, etc. Um, and what you can do to know how to better recognize what it looks like, because there is no universal approach or eclectic view of what domestic violence looks like in relationships with people. My first tip is for you to have the conversation. Make it something that we destigmatize. Have the conversation about random people going through random assessments of how people hold and add value in their lives. I think that this in and of itself encompasses this part where you're helping that person that may be in a domestically violent situation to reassess the people that they have in their life that is close to them, that has a direct impact on how they show up, right? The people that are intertwined with them, whether it's emotional or physical, right? When we're analyzing the folks that are in our life that make a healthy or a lack of a healthy contribution to our lives, we're simply looking at whether or not there are costs associated with us maintaining that relationship and what benefits are there that are associated with us maintaining the relationship with them. And we look at how it impacts us and how it affects the way that we show up in other relationships or other domains in our life. So, domestic violence relationships could be emotional. That's what I'm getting to. If a person starts to assess that and they're assessing it with you, or if you encourage them to go to therapy and assess it with a professional, when they start to assess it, what they'll notice is that it costs them self esteem, it costs them self actualization, it costs them to be in a box sometimes and not come out of that, and sometimes to be completely blind as to what their realities are. And in some of these situations where they're in emotionally abusive relationships, it also costs them sitting through the process of being stonewalled and gaslit in those relationships and conversations where they're trying to get somewhere with people. The people don't necessarily hear them out, and it costs them essentially their voice and their sense of self. In those situations, people are more likely to start talking to you about their experiences because you brought it up and you've made it very clear that it's okay for you to have that discussion, which makes it sometimes okay for them to then engage in that conversation, be a part of the conversation. The other piece is to also discuss what it looks like for random people in hypothetical situations to create safety or exit plans, right? Transitional plans. And Make sure that you're maintaining individual relationships with people, because both of these things are important. Oftentimes in relationships where people are being abused, they are often isolated from the people that they care about. And sometimes where you notice that a particular partner is a buffer or barrier to you seeing a person that you previously been close to, whether it's a family member, whether it's their boyfriend, whether it's whomever, right? These are red flags that may encourage you to go ahead and do your part and then have that first conversation. And also then start asking some questions about how that person individually feels about the magnitude of value that you add to their lives, right? And you can also express to them how important they are to you. Because sometimes this lets us know when we're in a violent situation with someone that there is someone else that we can lean on, and someone else that's out there that is of a viable support for us or potential support for us. Because they stay in these relationships where they're experiencing domestic violence experiences, emotional violent experiences, because oftentimes the abuser makes them feel like no one else is there for them. No one else will be there for them. And they don't have another out, right? If you make it very clear that you're an outlet for them, trust me, it'll make that person feel a lot more comfortable with having that other conversation we talked about the potentials for violence. And it'll help them segue into this conversation about the potential for exit plans and exit strategies. And it also will help them talk about some of the distress that they may be going through emotionally and mentally with the people that they find themselves connected to in life. I think that there are an incredible number of deaths that are taking place now amongst family members in families, and households where someone could have seen something and done something, right? Prevented something. Oftentimes, in the aftermath of these tragedies, essentially, people find themselves completely closed off from the actuality of a situation. We have no real control over whether a person lives or dies. We have no real understanding of when their day may or may not come and what will lead to it. But if we do our parts, then we can walk away from a situation having given somebody some resources, having given somebody an outlet, having given somebody an inkling or an idea that maybe they could be going through something that is considered to be a violent situation emotionally or mentally that may not always look like all of the other red flags that are physical violent indicators. And even in those situations, we do have to advocate for people to get the proper help that they need. The Alliance for Domestic Violence in America does have a secured website where people can contact them, and then they will send out advocates to provide safety. And the addresses are not necessarily the addresses aren't listed, so it's like you can arrange a meetup or a safe haven as a middle ground, so that even if you find that you're followed by the person who is the abuser, it provides safety in your transition, right, to safety. Right? So two components. You get safety on your way there, and then you're safe in a place where they can't access you. The other piece is understanding how important it is to express or impress upon people that just because we love a person or just because we value a person greatly does not mean we have to endure abuse. We don't have to endure abuse. Even if you think that you will be by yourself, it's okay. Sometimes being with self is the best thing, and that's the only thing that we need in order for us to recalibrate. Maybe we're afraid of spending that time with self because it might show us something about ourselves that we otherwise do not want to see or just simply are not ready to see. That's why I like to emphasize the importance of getting into therapy, because it helps us to look at the realities of our situations, of our lives, of our relationships, and how it is that we're putting ourselves back out into this atmosphere or into the society that we find ourselves very much interlinked and connected with. So, those are just my little quick 3 key pointers that could help you find your way to creating more stability and perhaps providing someone with the resources that they need to find the inner resolve to identify and then escape domestically violent situations. If you guys have found that yourself or someone that you know is currently experiencing a crisis or needs domestic violence information, please do not hesitate to dial the National Crisis Suicide and Crisis Hotline. There are linkage and resources that could be accessed based on your current location that can specifically access or give you access to the needs that you have specifically in that moment. Okay. So that is all that I have, you guys. I got to run. I'm running a little bit late for a session. I wish you guys love, light, and positivity. And hopefully, you guys take this and allow this to be a foundation for the conversations that you will have in the future with the people that you know, the people you're connected to, and sometimes even strangers in the street. So that is all that I have. I absolutely love you guys. Be well. Take care.